Lieutenant General Tom McInerney joins us now, and we're so glad to have you. Thank you for joining us, General.
Thanks very much for having me, Larry. Dan?
I got to have you respond first off to Marie Harf. She's a spokesperson for the Obama administration State Department. She was on MSNBC's Hardball last night, apparently talking about what the official strategy is in defeating ISIS. You know, we're at war, we're told, from the Obama administration. They reluctantly use that word, war with ISIS. And apparently this is how we're combating ISIS, and this is the solution for winning the war. Listen to this.
Right now what we're doing is trying to take their leaders and their fighters off the battlefield in Iraq and in Syria. That's really where they've flourished.
Are we killing enough of them?
We're killing a lot of them, and we're going to keep killing more of them. So are the Egyptians, so are the Jordanians. They're in this fight with us. But we cannot win this war by killing them. We cannot kill our way out of this war. We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups.
We're not going to be able to stop that in our lifetime or 50 lifetimes. There's always going to be poor people. There's always going to be poor Muslims. And as long as there are poor Muslims, the trumpet's blowing. They'll join.
All right, General. As a man who made a living trying to win wars and thinking how America could win wars, what is your reaction when you hear the State Department spokesperson say that we can't kill our way out of this war?
Well, was I listening to Hardball or to Saturday Night Live?
I know. I know.
You got to be kidding me. We can, if we want to, do it by killing them, but the fact is there's a better way. There's a way that we get the Muslims to pick up that responsibility to root out that cancer called radical Islam, which the administration will not even call it. And if you can't call it what it is, Larry, how do you know how to defeat it? You defeat it by calling it what it is and then going to the font of knowledge of radical Islam. Where is that? That's Mecca and Medina. That's where this evil ideology that is as bad as Nazism, fascism, and communism comes from. So if we can't identify what it is, and we're going to have a summit in the White House on violent extremism, you tell me what the ideology of violent extremism. I'll tell you what the ideology of radical Islam is. It is the Quran, it is the Hadith, and it is Sharia law. So until we identify it, and I don't know if the Muslims have infiltrated the White House so much that they are so blind to what the rest of the world is calling it. There's this little niche in the whole world that is calling it violent extremism and making the Pentagon call it that.
Well, General, isn't this a larger effort on behalf of the hard left, the organized left, to continue this false narrative that poverty is the cause of terrorism? Certainly can be, a cause, but the evidence doesn't say that. I mean, Osama bin Laden came from a wealthy family. I mean, this just isn't true. It seems like a larger effort to do what they always do, which is blame society at large in some effort to dismantle it. This is why they say things like this, is it not?
That is a brilliant analysis. It has nothing to do with wealth or where they came from, because you got these college-educated people that become radical Islamists. It is an ideology, Dan, and that's what you're saying. They're bringing up this false narrative, oh, they're poor, oh, their mommy and daddy didn't do this. Look, I've talked to radical Islamists who got the word, and when their mother starts telling them to be a shaheed, a martyr, then you know you're fighting an ideology. I grew up in Germany right after World War II. My father was a colonel over there. And the fact is I saw the Nazi Jugend, the Hitler Youth, and it is the same thing. At a very young age, they insert this ideology at kindergarten, at first, second grade. You see it in the Palestinian schools, all the schools around, this ideology of hate, that we are infidels. And so until you understand that ideology, and then once you understand it, then you know how to help defeat it. You'll defeat it by killing some of them. The biggest part is to get people like President al-Sisi from Egypt and King Abdullah of Jordan and other leaders over there, to include the Saudis, to come out and say this is evil and you will be an unholy warrior and forever live in damnation if you attack the West. Only they can do that.
Yeah.
And that's why we failed in 10 years in Iraq, because we didn't understand. We thought we could win hearts and minds, and they wanted our Jeffersonian democracy. They did not. They wanted our money.
By the way, Marie Harf, remarkably, I mean, Chris Matthews almost sounded like, a war hawk here trying to, are you kidding me? This is really, and she went on, she actually doubled down on this, and I've got to think that this is now the Obama administration's position. Get this, she actually went on to say, in terms of going after the root cause of ISIS and their radical Islamic terrorism, I'm quoting her now, what makes these 17-year-old kids pick up an AK-47 instead of starting a business? So, General, is it now the official policy of the Obama administration that these guys are beheading Christians over there en masse, 20 at a time, as we saw this weekend, because they weren't able to start a business?
Larry, that's why I say the White House ought to be Saturday Night Live. There is no serious mindset that could come up with the conclusion that lady came up with. I cannot believe it.
I'd love to ask you, General, as this obviously this story is not going away, and with the administration's lack of any kind of strategy or leadership, unfortunately, it's going to be a problem going on for the next couple of years. When you look at the presidential campaign and prospects for the 2016 lineup, who are you paying attention to right now? Who do you think is actually taking this seriously and is able to fight this fight the way it needs to be fought?
Well, let me say some of the leaders rather than because I don't want to say that. But
I'm not asking for an endorsement, but
Newt Gingrich had a brilliant speech at the last CPAC or whatever it was out that gathering out in Iowa. It was absolutely brilliant. It was Churchillian, in which he laid out what the causes are and what we have to do. Look, this has been going on for 1,400 years, and then the president says that the Crusades was an evil. Hell, it was 400 years after Muslim expansionism, Islamic expansionism up into Europe and that the Crusades started. I'm learning a lot about the Crusades that I didn't fully understand years ago.
Yeah, it's funny, General. After the president's get off your high horse, Christians, we had the Crusades. More people are learning about the Crusades to our benefit, I think. It's good for people to understand exactly what the Crusades were about. It actually sheds a whole lot of light on what's going on right now. I don't think that was the intended effect from the president's remarks. Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, always good to have you, sir. You throw a nice bucket of cold water on us as we wake up in the morning.
Well, you guys are doing great work by discussing it like this. It is very important that the media come up on the net.
We do what we can, sir.